Hey, this is Kelly from the Dollyrots, and you are listening to Jim and Mike Talk Music.
I'm Mike. Good to meet you.
Yes, hi, Mike.
Virtually.
And Jim, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
nice to meet you.
Great. So we'll be missing Luis today.
I'm sorry. It was that. I mean, we can reschedule.
No,
you seem so disappointed.
No, we're good.
No, just letting.
I don't mind.
That's okay.
No, just letting our listeners know who's there because they
Okay.
can't see. Yeah, the audio
Got
only
it.
going on here.
So you're in Florida, right?
Yes, we are. We're in Tampa.
What's the temperature there?
It's very cold. It's in the 50s.
Really? It's 25 here.
Yeah, we have single digits and 10. We hit the 30s, and that's warm this past week. I think it's one of the biggest cold spells I've had up here for this long.
Yeah, it's going to be a while.
Yeah,
I hate the cold.
Are you a newbie to the tundra?
No.
No.
But it's just real. I mean,
No, we're from New Jersey.
Yeah, but single digits for that long anyway. Yeah.
I am from New Jersey as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was born in Teaneck.
Oh, I was going to say, do you want to say where? Yeah. Okay, Teaneck.
Yeah.
Heard of it.
Yeah.
So Jim and Mike's Talk Music is broadcast from across the state, right near the Delaware River and, on the
call
on the PA side.
Central New Jersey.
Yeah.
I guess.
Got it.
Washington.
Yeah, we're not central. I mean, we're over on the west side. Yeah, West Coast.
Some people call it.
No, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so did you both, you
West
and Luis,
Coast.
did you and Luis both grow up in Florida? Were you from Florida?
Yeah, so I was born in Jersey. He was born in Ecuador. He grew up in Texas, and I grew up in. My parents moved here on a train when I was 6 weeks old.
Wow.
Also on the train was a pretty. My dad had a kind of epic night in the bar car, apparently, and my mom was really, really angry. And it wasn't until recently she remembered the guy's name, and it was Todd Rundgren.
Oh, really?
So when I was 6, yeah. So when I was 6 weeks old, my poor mom, like the one car with 6-week-old me, cursing my dad, who was having a great night in the bar car with him and his band.
Yeah.
But Luis moved we grew up in the suburbs of Tampa, a little town called Land O'Lakes. And we actually met in 8th grade. And he decided in 8th grade he was going to marry me. And it actually happened.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I think that sort of persistence is illegal now.
Love at first sight. Yeah, he kind of predestined. Yeah, he made up his mind. Wow. Ecuador. Excellent. Yeah, I've traveled to Peru and we adopted a child from Peru. So yeah, I know Peru
Cool.
better than Ecuador. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, you met in 8th grade. So when you met, was it because you were neighbors or you were in the same class together or you just...
We went to the same middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So he was like the new kid. He was kind of weird. He dressed really, really nice because he started school in Tampa, kind of right by where we live now, actually closer to like the inner city. And, he dressed very urban and had like really good shoes and all the name brand stuff. And he showed up to Podunk Land O'Lakes. What is this guy? He's exotic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he showed up and, we were friends. We had some classes together, but it wasn't until our junior year of high school, I asked him to teach me to play guitar. I was trying to impress another guy, but I started falling for him. And I asked him to the homecoming dance. And then he went to the same college as me, much to the disappointment of his family. because he got accepted into Rice and some pretty amazing schools, but he followed me to this really strange little liberal arts hippie honors college in Florida called New College. And then from the first day we lived together, and at the end of college, graduated, got married, started the band that last year. And the band was just a joke. And then it just kind of, we're like, let's move to California. We can establish residency. We'll do school. He was going to go to med school, do med school, grad school there, and see what happens. And then the band just kind of snowballed. So here we are.
Well, what was the band? Was it called No Chefs? Was that a band with you and Luis?
It is the dorkiest story, but it was based on, we did Model United Nations. We were both we were pretty nerdy academically. And so we both did Model United Nations. I did it in high school, but then we went back and we were counselors when we were in college. And I don't remember where it even came from, but the chef one year, it was like a guy volunteering to cook for us. He was just very kind of pretend posh, and at some point we made a joke like, if we ever have a band, we're going to name it No Chef, and then we did, and that's how that started. I think we played a whole 12 shows before we moved to California, though. We were definitely delusional, and thank God, or we never would have gone. So
you say a joke, but were you were half joking? I mean, you still were performing and enjoying that, so it wasn't a complete joke being in a band. It's kind of half joking. Is that kind of what you mean?
It was a complete joke at first. The band, the songs were called Taco Bell Girl. Charles Manson went in my wall. Jackie Chan is one of those early songs that is a joke song that we still play live at every single show. But it really was more comedy than rock and roll initially. We also, nobody knew how to play an instrument. Luis had to teach all of us. We started out by learning covers. So we each got to pick one. There were 4 of us at that time. I played rhythm guitar. I picked a Ronettes song. The bass player picked a Blink-182 song.
Yeah, it's a stretch.
Luis picked the Ramones, and the drummer picked the Misfits. So we learned those 4 songs over and over and over. We would play them, and then we just kind of became what would later become the Dollyrots. Once the bass player, he quit, and I had to learn to play bass and sing all the songs because I was just playing rhythm guitar, singing some backing vocals. I had like 2 weeks before we had a show, and so I played all the root notes of the bar chords on a bass guitar, and that is still kind of what I do.
Yeah, the bass basics.
I know bass lines, but that's basically what bass is anyway.
I was going to say, you guys, I have it actually written down that maybe you were influenced by the Ramones, Green Day, and maybe some 60s girls groups. Yeah. So you mentioned...
That's exactly right.
Wow,
yeah.
I don't think you mentioned Green Day, but...
No, I mean, they were definitely part of what we heard growing up. Kids of like the late 90s, early 2000s. We love Green Day. Our first album came out on Lookout Records, and our heads pretty much exploded with happiness when that happened. It was actually Lookout's imprint label, because at that point Lookout had started doing more like indie rock stuff, and so they had Panic Button, which was their pop punk imprint label. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And Green Day is the reason why we moved to Blackheart Records after that, because Green Day had a falling out with Lookout Records, and so they're no more after that.
Yeah.
And
so Jim, you got it with the Green Day then. Yeah.
When did you change the name to the Dollyrots, and where did that name come from? I have kind of a theory that
Jim's got a theory. Look out.
Well, that the Dolly being fun and Rots being punk. So kind of.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what it was. We were No Chef until the bass player quit, and I started singing and fronting the band. And at that point, I was very uncomfortable with that. I kind of still am. But we were, we were Chef, and then we were a different band. So we're like, we need to change the name and, kind of be a different band. So we played one show as Dame Kitty. And that was there was a commercial on it at the time. I can't remember. I think it was an insurance company or something. And there was a girl fronted band and it was called Danger Kitty. So we were like, all right, we'll do that. But I don't know. We didn't keep it. It was confusing. Google was around at that point. So you're like, we need something that's Googleable and that describes the band. And it had to be the Somethings, of course, the girl group influence. Yeah. You know, a lot of the punk rock bands were the Somethings as well. And so we just made 2 piles of words. We had like sweet, sugary, cute, gooey ones that kind of reflected me. And then we had like more edgy, gross, even words in another pile to reflect the music. And we just kept pulling out different ones. Luis and I remember it differently, but I remember pulling out a whole bunch of them. It was like Bubble Guns, which is now a band. There are a whole bunch that we pulled out that are bands now.
Bomb Pops.
That we didn't do. Bomb Pops was actually in there. Yeah, it's so strange. But yeah, so then what I remember is we didn't pick one we really loved. And then we were driving around and I was thinking about them. I was like, what about like the Lolly Dolls or the Lolly somethings or the Dolly and then Dolly Pops? It was like Dollyrots. And that's what I remember. I can remember like the road we were driving on, but he doesn't think it happened that way.
It reminds me of, there's an area in West Virginia. It's up on the plateau, the highlands of West, because there are mountains in West Virginia, and it's called Dolly Sods. Have you ever heard of that? Have you heard of the place called Dolly Sods?
No.
Yeah, it's Dollyrots, Dolly Sods. Yeah.
I have not.
I had
we
an
have
idea.
Been called many names though.
I was telling Jim, Jim's getting a lot of things right here, but I had a name for you guys, and I'm proposing. I was thinking the Ogden Heads.
That could work. It doesn't have. It sounds more like a black metal band, you know.
But do you know why?
Oh, so what? Your surname. I think I was trying to pronounce that. I might have butchered that. Ogden.
Ogden. It's an
Ogden.
English derived.
Ogden Heads.
Yeah.
And Cabezas, right? Cabezas.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Means heads. So anyway, just putting those together.
You want to know the best part? So Luis, his degree is in neurobiology. And had he gone on to med school, it would have been some kind of neuromedicine. And he would have been Dr. Heads, a head doctor.
Dr. Heads, yes. Yeah. I didn't know that. Biology. Yeah.
That's why it couldn't happen.
Yeah.
It would have been too silly. No one would have taken him seriously. My sister actually has a doctor named Dr. Pepper. And she's like, it's so hard not to giggle.
Yeah, I've heard of Dr. Payne. Dr. Payne. Call him Dr. Payne.
So is it true you both of you were going to go to med school and you decided
Luis was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the
he took the MCATs and everything. He was ready to go. And then
he was in love though. He was in love. I think, he couldn't go that route.
He was not in love with medicine at all. If either of us had chosen that path, it probably would have been me. My mom, she was a nurse. She ended her career as a vice president of a hospital, but she started out as a floor nurse. I spent my entire young years volunteering in a hospital and in veterinary clinics. And I really enjoy medicine, but I didn't want to do it as a career. I was studying environmental science. So I wrote my thesis on sea turtle nesting, and I did a big GPS project in Sarasota.
I watched live at night the turtles on the east coast of Trinidad drop about 30 eggs down into that hole and then cover it all up. It was amazing. I'll never forget it. When she's done, you can't see where she dug. So they go round and round, and then you have no idea where she just dropped the big pot of eggs. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I used to help tag them. I would mark all the nests in the mornings, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So your early albums, or maybe half your albums, feature rabbits. So is there any significance?
All of them.
All of them have a rabbit on them?
The rabbit is on all of them. Yeah.
Oh,
but some of them you have to look. But the rabbit is always there.
Oh, okay.
It started out because with our first album, we weren't really sure what the artwork should be like. And, we're like, I don't know. And so the woman, Kathleen Lawley, she's a really cool artist. She's like, she did cool cartoony kind of things. And initially we were like, should they be monkeys? And we were like, monkeys, they can be kind of gross. And so I was like, how about bunnies? And it's kind of because there was this story. It's a bit of a loss of innocence story. Growing up at my grandparents' house, I had a bunny, and the bunny would change a little bit here and there, but, I never really thought much of it. I knew snowshoe hares could change color when it got cold. And I was like, I'm sure it's just, it's the same bunny. That's Hoppy. And then when I was about 17, we were at Easter at my aunt's house and we were watching old family videos. And I saw me as a 4-year-old with my bunny. And I was like, oh, look, it's Hoppy. My aunt's like, God, is that Hoppy 1 or 20?
Oh, nice.
What?
Like, I thought Hoppy was like the oldest living rabbit ever. I thought Hoppy really lived to be like 16. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, Kelly, no. And I think deep inside I kind of knew, but they had lied to me all those years, my whole family. And so at that point, I didn't trust anybody ever again.
Yeah.
Not really. I'm kidding. I'm smiling. This is a video, so listeners don't know that I was smiling. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we went with the bunny. The bunny's kind of innocent, but can be very mischievous as well. Mm-hmm. Good describer of us.
Do you and Luis write the songs together? Does one of you write the lyrics? One writes the music? Or you?
It kind of depends on the songs.
Okay.
The music almost always comes first, or the music has always come first. Yeah, every now and then I'll have like a small idea. One of us will have a line that we've thought of that we'll bring into a song after we have music. But we're not one of those bands where, someone's a poet and then somebody puts music to poems. It's never worked that way. The music has always informed the melody and the words. It kind of all, I don't know. I like to joke that it like falls out of the ether and it becomes its own thing. Like we don't ever sit down and, okay, we're going to write a song about walking in the rain. It just, he starts with a guitar riff, or we start with a drum beat and a bass line, or, something. And as we get going, I kind of come up with a melody usually. And then the melody sometimes just turns into words. And then, we pick a couple of those words and then we add on words and then it becomes a thing about something, but it's pretty organic that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's good descriptions.
Do you remember the first song you wrote? Was it Taco Bell? What was that?
So Taco Bell Girl was written by the original bass player of the Dollyrots, Josh.
Okay.
So no, didn't write that one. The first one we wrote was called Boom Boom. And it was about a roommate that we had in college and about how he would play his music too loud. And they would cook in the kitchen. There's a line about sloppy tofu. And it was always really nice.
Is that making a sloppy Joe? That's like making a sloppy Joe from tofu? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
No, they were just sloppy. It just worked.
Okay. I'm just picturing that, cutting up, little bits of tofu, adding the barbecue sauce. Sloppy.
That's
sloppy
easy
tofu.
to do now.
Yeah.
Man, there's lots of ground tofu products that are actually really good. You just put that can of sloppy Joe sauce in there.
Yeah.
It's good.
A plant-based meat.
Yeah. Are you and Luis vegetarian or vegan?
I stopped eating meat when I was 12. And
the bunny
I am
thing
now
again, right? That's the bunny thing we can attribute.
No, that was an 8th grade teacher giving out PETA pamphlets in class, which is also probably illegal now. Yeah, when I understood what factory farming was, I was like, I went home like, Mom and Dad, I cannot participate in this anymore. They're like, okay, sure. They thought it would last like a week. They're like, you're going to have to learn to cook then. And I was like, okay, fine. And I cooked dinners twice a week and would just kind of eat what I could of dinner and make things on the side. And yeah, it's been a long time now. I do eat seafood now. Sustainable, wild caught ideally, but but yeah, Luis, he eats chicken and seafood. He stays away from the mammals mostly, and our kids eat everything.
Yeah,
I'll let them decide later.
So
we have chickens and stuff, but they understand chicken nuggets come from. We have 6 pet chickens. So
wow, you have 6 pet chickens. Excellent. Well, I mean, pets or quasi pets? They're pets.
They're pets. We eat their eggs, but they're definitely pets. We're not very good farmers. I take them to the vet if they're sick, that kind of stuff. So.
So you all are a family of 4. Tell us about, is it River and Daisy?
Yeah, River's 8 and Daisy is 5. River grew up on the road, total road dog, loves touring. I think that it is a big part of his personality. Anywhere we go, he just talks to people and makes friends. And, he's very, very used to that. And our daughter, she is 5. And so the last time she really toured, she was just past 2.5 years old. And she doesn't even remember being in hotels or on an airplane. She's like, have I ever been on an airplane? I'm like, yes, you've even been multiple times up. But she has no recollection whatsoever.
That will make their personalities different. Yeah. They will have different personalities from someone like myself.
We're hitting the road in March.
The same house. Yeah. What's that?
Yeah. We're touring in March. So I'm hoping she likes it.
Yeah, that's excellent. How do you manage that? I was just thinking about that, listening to your music and everything. I was thinking, okay, touring. What do you do with the 5-year-old and the 8-year-old? How do you manage it?
Well, we always have a designated tour nanny. But a lot of it is just entertainment. And I don't know if you guys have kids, but we have to have a whole lot of 15-minute activities and snacks and bribes that we bring out and kind of surprise them with. And so, for example, to Europe with a toddler, it's kind of a nightmare at times. Yeah. Because, also, first of all, most of the time they were on our lap because there's no way we were paying for another ticket until they were past the 2-year mark. So you're like
$1,000 here, another $1,000 here.
Yeah, like you're holding this squirmy creature that never stops moving for like 8 hours that is bored. They don't watch movies at that point. So I had this black drawstring like backpack that I would put in I had this huge duffel bag from my
you didn't put them in that. No, okay.
Yeah, that would be
That's
great.
what I was
I got this large duffel. No, I'm
my
teasing.
cousin in the Marines gave me this big backpack.
Yeah.
And so in the backpack were changes of clothes for, the kids and us, because that's another tip. If you have kids, you're going to get pooped on or puked on at some point. So don't ever get on a flight without something for you as well. Yeah. Inside my secret bag of tricks would be all sorts of bribes, like small ones, though, like M&Ms, little candy things that they've never had before, like notepads and activity books and puzzles and, all those little things that will distract them for about 15 minutes. Little kids also love playing with spoons and straws and cups and water. They'll spend like moving water from one cup to the other one. It doesn't even have to be stuff you buy at the store, but they definitely need constant stimulation. Yeah, and especially when they're little and not.
Yeah, I think I remember
on
that.
Tablet playing games. Oh man.
I think I remember that. My son's 18, so he's pretty much.
Yeah.
He still lives here, but he works and he doesn't want to really be bothered.
But the kids are all different. I've got three kids, and so one will be entertained with a whiteboard. We had this little whiteboard with the dry erase, and the other one had nothing to do with it. It's like, okay, find something else. They're going to be different. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, our daughter Daisy loves drawing and doing arts and crafts and stuff, and River not so into that. He'd rather be building with Legos. Yeah, we would bring a few like very high quality things too, like a couple Lego sets deep in the bag for when things really got rough. Pull out a Lego Play-Doh.
I think it's going to be an advantage to him to have, to be more outgoing because of all the traveling and stuff. I always think that's an advantage. I was shy as a child, and I could have done so much more if I wasn't. And I really think that's going to be helpful. Yeah.
Daisy's very shy.
Yeah, so she's the opposite. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some of your songs, they've been in movies and TV shows. And one that intrigued me, and this is a while ago. Well, this was 2006. You might know what I'm going to talk about, but it was an episode of CSI. Stuck on You. I have not seen this. I should have watched it. I saw it was, you could rent it. But your songs Kick Me to the Curb and Good Night Tonight were featured. And I think both you and Luis were in the TV show, in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
You're members of a fictional band, and I love it, called The Rough Sex.
And it's SECTS, Sects.
And you played Stephanie Odell. You were the bass player, of course.
Of course.
So tell us some things like how this came about.
Yeah.
Was this your first, maybe your last acting role?
Right, like who gets to do that, So that's...
Yeah, well, we had just signed a publishing deal. We had a Hewlett-Packard commercial that aired before that one. It was same person, this guy, John Anderson. He was very important to us getting a lot of these film and TV things, him and Brad Rains. He called me one afternoon. He's like, Kelly, it's kind of a long shot, but I bet you can do it. He's like, they are looking for an actress that can play bass or guitar to be on a show. He's like, just, dress up, like you would for a show and go to this audition. It was at CBS or whatever studios. And I was like, okay. And I was terrified, right? So I drive there. I've got like my jeans, my Chuck Taylors, old vintage t-shirt. Like that's what I wore when I played. I got my bass. Before I go in, I chugged 2 mini bottles of wine. And I'm like, all right, I can do this. I'm like trying to like puff myself. And I walk up, there's a line of like 30 girls dressed with like thigh-high leather boots and mini skirts, fishnets, leather jackets, big black eyeliner. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to turn around. There's no way I'm going to get this. And I stayed because I didn't want to not even try and get yelled at. So I did the interview or the audition.
Yeah.
I played a song a cappella on an electric bass. It's mortifying because there's no sound, right?
Yeah.
It's an electric bass. They didn't have anything to plug into. But most of these other girls didn't bring a bass, which weird, right? So I wonder, I might have been one of the few people who actually played. And I played one of our songs. It had a bass line. It was mostly bass driven, called Out of LA. And I was talking to them and they were smiling and they were really like warm and cool. And they're like, well, how would you feel about playing, some songs that we had written for this, instead of playing your songs, would you be cool with that? You're in a real band. And I was like, it'd be way cooler to play our songs. I mean, we've got great songs.
Let it flow.
And they're like, well, maybe. And I was like, it'd be kind of weird if it was just a band of actors. You could just use our band. And they're like, well, maybe we'll. So I left a CD.
I mean, that would be easier. I mean, it just makes sense.
I was like, it will be easier. And they're like, yeah, well, that's nice. We'll let you know. Okay, goodbye. And so I was like, oh, I just screwed that up. I just pretty much told them no, unless they let me use my stuff with my band. That was stupid. So I'm like kicking myself, walk back to the van, and I just kind of hung out for a while. And I drive back. Don't worry, it was only 2 mini bottles of wine. I was fine to drive. I drove back home, and I got a call, and they're like, they want to give it to you. And I was like, what? And they're like, and they want to use Kick Me to the Curb, and it was Jackie Chan, right? I can't even remember. Or Good Night Tonight. Like, and they want to use 2 Dollyrots songs. They loved it. And I was like, wow. I was like, and what about the rest of the band? And they're like, they said that was okay.
Yeah.
And so the girl, Shelly, was a real actress, and she was playing the drummer in the band, and they had already hired her for the gig. She was on Gilmore Girls. She had done some other stuff. So she was already a drummer. I was like, oh, well, that's no problem. Our drummer plays guitar, so she can just be the extra guitar player. And they're like, okay. And so
they should be glad because you're helping them. You're helping them along, making things easier. It sounds like they're not trying to make things easier.
Yeah, but it worked out. So our drummer and Luis are playing guitar, I'm playing bass, and an actress is playing the drummer. And it was really fun. It was great.
Oh, it sounds fun.
It was a really fun experience.
Did you have any lines?
It's a funny episode too.
Did you?
Yeah, I was a main character. They thought I was the murderer.
Oh, okay.
And so the bass is the murder instrument.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm not going to give it away. You should watch it.
But
I think
you
it's free on Netflix.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
But you were the suspected killer. Right.
Yeah, like I actually got like co-star billing.
Wow.
It was
so
fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now,
Gets to
was
do
that your only acting?
We've been in a couple movies. One was called Girl Trash Up All Night. It's like a lesbian musical comedy that it was really fun. And I played a villain. Thanks, dude.
What's that?
Yes, it was. But yeah, I play an evil cokehead that steals the girlfriends. But it was actually really cool. The cast was a lot of the women from the L Word, and they were all real actors. Yeah. And yeah, I got to be an evil person. So evil, they were like, "Do you want to use a name not the Dollyrots?" Because it was the whole band again. Yeah. And I was like, "No way, we'll be the Dollyrots." Like, but you're a cokehead and you're really mean. I was like, "That's fine." Like,
Dollyrots,
better to get publicity. Fine. So yeah.
So you were able to use. You were able to use it. Then. Yeah. Yeah,
we did it again. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, why would you not want to be the Dollyrots? It's kind of.
Yeah.
Why would you want to change it?
I mean, gee.
So I have a list of songs here. The interview is not going to be 3 hours, by the way.
No, but
hopefully not.
If you saw Jim's notes, he really has researched. He does a lot more research.
I only have 20 pages. No, I have 7 pages. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of songs I like. I can't say I hate any of your songs. I just love all the songs.
That's a good thing.
But I picked out. I think there's 7 songs there, and if you could tell us about maybe a couple of them, you know, how they came about or the recording of them or anything you can, but we can do them one at a time, or let me go down I'll start from the top here. Okay. The song Almost.
Almost. So that's a Bowling for Soup song.
Yeah. Dollyrots versus Bowling for Soup.
Yeah. We toured with Bowling for Soup a lot in their tour bus. And ahead of a tour, we decided to put out a split 7-inch where we did 2 of their songs and they did 2 of our songs. So that's where that one came from.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, is that one of their songs?
Yeah.
Almost? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Very cool.
It was actually a radio hit. I think they were nominated for a Grammy for that one.
Yeah, I like their stuff. Yeah. It's a good combination, though, you guys touring with Bowling for Soup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that the Dollyrots is a female band, but, you know, female singer, and then it's like the male version of the Dollyrots.
Yeah.
You know,
We're going to Europe together in May with Lit. It's Bowling for Soup, Lit, and the Dollyrots.
Oh. Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
In this May.
Yeah. God willing.
Yeah. You don't know with COVID.
So the next this is you with Jarrett Reddick from Bowling. Love you, love you, love you. But I love this song because it sounds like it might be a nice little song.
Oh, it's a lovely little ditty. It is.
But it's I love you, love you, love you, and I'm never gonna leave you, but I kind of hope you fucking die. You know, I just love that.
Yeah. So we did that one ahead of another tour. It was a promo thing, but it sparked us wanting to work together more. So I actually have a band with him called Jarrett and Kelly, and we're gonna work on a new album. But we put out an album together, but we'll do that one live when we tour together sometimes.
Now, is that a Bowling for Soup song, or is that a new?
No, Jarrett wrote that one with a woman named Lisa Marr. She's a really cool songwriter. She's worked with Bowling for Soup. I think the Queers also. We keep doing a lot of things that overlap, but I haven't actually met her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's cool though.
And then I Know How to Party.
Can't think straight, I'm car's a mess. I ripped my dress. My hair looks kind of funny. 'Cause I know how to party. Yeah, I know how to party. Driving sucks. I missed the bus. Forgot to feed the cat. I burned a microwave meal. Yeah, how do you even do that? I always lose my keys and forgot to say please.
Great video.
That one.
I love this bit. Everyone's laying on the floor. Now, this song reminded me of the Andrew WK song.
Exactly.
Party Hard.
Yeah, we sampled it in there.
Oh, okay. That's why.
That's what it
Yeah.
reminded you. Wow.
And your son is in the
John
video.
Fields produced that. And so that was kind of a nod and a joke.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, I know how to party.
Yeah.
And River's in that
Party
video.
hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
River's in a lot of them. Daisy's in a lot of them too. So when she came, we try to get them even a little cameo and whatever we can usually.
Speaking of cameo, behind you there, I'll let our listeners know, is a cameo of. Now, it's either a dingo, a coyote, a fox, or it's your dog.
Yeah, that's
Who is that back there?
That is Dodger Dog. He's our panda puppy. We got him in March of 2020.
Oh.
Yeah.
And June 6th, he turned 1 year old, and he's almost not psycho now. It was hard. For about a year, I had been looking for an older dog to adopt, but as I mentioned, we have chickens, we have cats, we have tiny kids. And so I was concerned because every time I would call about a dog and be like, will they get along with children? For sure, cats and chickens. Nobody will say, oh, absolutely. And so I was like, man, we're going to have to do a puppy. And so he's our first and only puppy ever. It was crazy, but we are very happy he's in our family.
Roger Dodger.
Yeah. I love baseball as well.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, next song, Brand New Key, which this is the first time I heard of the Dollyrots. Actually, I probably saw the video first.
It's a great song.
And it's a 70s song by Melanie. Anything about that or the video or?
So I discovered that record at my best friend's house when I was about 16, I think. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I love it. Their dad had this awesome record collection, all sorts of, Woodstock era songs. He had like a guitar strap of Joan Baez's. Like he's a really cool old hippie dude. And that song, out of all of them, I just loved it. And I had it on a cassette tape. I was learning to drive. I just played it on repeat, and I would do it to torture people because a lot of people didn't like it. And so it was just kind of fun. And then we had to put a cover on each album. A lot of the bands that we look up to, one of the things that they would do is lead us to other bands that we might like or that influence them. Like if it weren't for Nirvana, we wouldn't have learned about, Bikini Kill and Meat Puppet, Buzzcocks and Breeders and the Pixies. And, I feel like it's really important for a band to inform their fans about, other bands that they like, their influences.
Right.
So, on our first album, we did Be My Baby by the Ronettes. This one was on our second album. And it was really hard to record because it was such a part of me, the original, that when I went to go try and make it mine, it was really confusing. And then also the original is not really in a key perfectly. So that was a little tricky in the studio, but eventually we got through it. And Melanie, I talk to her sometime now. Wow. She loves it. She loves that we did it. I think, there's a, up there. How can I, anyway, over my shoulder,
above the dog
there.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
there, that's her signature.
Okay.
It says, "To Kelly and Luis, love the way you do it. Love Melanie."
Okay.
And so
cool.
I see your dirty dancing picture too.
Greatest soundtrack ever to exist. That was one of my main introductions to 60s music.
We were going to be interviewing in a couple months a guy who played guitar on She's Like the Wind.
Yeah.
Oh wow, very cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for our listeners, they're behind Kelly. She has a lot of framed and signed autographed photographs, maybe an album cover. What do you got right there? Oh, is that Sir Paul McCartney?
What?
This is pretty awesome. Since we talked about Ecuador,
Yeah,
it's an original Meet the Beatles, the
Wow.
Ecuadorian pressing.
yeah, monofonico.
Yeah,
Los.
Yeah, the illustration looks a little different than the
Yeah,
original.
yeah, it's slightly different.
Yeah.
Yeah, Meet the Beatles.
we stole it from
Wow.
Lewis's dad.
He saw it and said, "I want this.
Yeah,
I'm taking this."
The room we're in, I have posters and autograph. I got
Yeah,
Grace Potter sign,
Oh,
Joss
cool.
Stone
Just Stone. Yeah,
signed
that's good.
picture.
Yeah,
I
He's
didn't meet
awesome.
them, but
hmm awesome.
so okay. The last song here. I'm gonna say this is a new song. I guess I should know this. Just like all the rest, of your new album, and I love the video. This one animated.
So funny.
There's many Lewises in this video. My
Mhm.
favorite scene though is in the. I don't know if it's in the subway, but there's like 5 Lewises. There's one laying down, and they all
Yeah.
eventually pick up a guitar, except the one. I noticed the one guy, he's still just laying there,
Yeah.
unconscious. I love that part.
So tell us about that.
How did that come about? Like the animation. Who is the person that?
So because of COVID, we're in Florida right now, and we usually do our videos and photography and everything in California and Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And this album came together in a matter of 4 days.
Mhm.
And then we had about a week to turn in a video. And so we actually went to Fiverr and found an illustrator that a friend had used for something. And we were like, hey, we need a video. Can you do this? And the guy did an amazing job.
Wow.
The end was kind of sad because none of the Lewises ended up getting the Kelly at the end of the original version.
Mhm.
And so I was like, you gotta like have us walk off into the sun something.
Yeah.
And so he changed it to that.
Mhm.
But most of it was just him with, very little input from us. Any input came from Lewis, of course. I guess
Mhm.
that's how he felt when we were in
No, it's
high
a great
school.
video.
Yeah. Just a reminder for our listeners, that's just like all the rest. Check that out in video or audio.
Now I noticed that you have not a lot of songs, but songs about California, I guess when you live there. But there's no songs about Florida.
Yeah.
No.
Do you think about Florida in your song?
So this is my stupid joke
Okay, here it comes.
that I think you need a song called Florida. D-U-H.
Florida.
Oh, yeah, could be.
Okay.
Could be. We are working on a new album. Maybe
All
that's
right.
it.
And flora, of course, means flower. So there's a flower
could be-
theme.
It could be
Florida.
a song about Flora, a girl named Flora.
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like it. I'm gonna
Florida.
put it in my idea bank.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Along with many, many notes in your head.
So let's talk about the new album. This came out, I believe, yesterday, which was
Yeah,
what was
the
yesterday?
21st.
January.
So this is 20 years of rarities, B-sides, and cover songs. 24 songs.
Wow. That's a bunch.
So I was
We
thinking,
left a bunch out.
Wow.
are there just a couple new songs on this one?
Yeah, it's just 2.
Okay.
Okay.
And I was thinking about B-sides. Now, were these on actual 45s? Or because nobody
Yeah, a lot of them are. That's why they're B-sides. But
Okay.
they're some of them came out on one-offs that we would do with friends, other labels, but a lot of those 45s are short runs. Maybe some of them only had 500 copies ever created, and also some of them didn't have digital releases. And so we were like, man, it'd be great to get those out into the world because a lot of people, even some of our biggest fans, haven't heard them because it was so limited.
Yeah.
So that's what some of them are. Some of them are that we recorded when we recorded albums and intended for them to be,
they were extra,
besides
extras.
something that didn't happen. A couple of them were B-sides from Wicked Cool releases. And that's kind of how the project came to came to be, really. Luis, we really want to have something to put out last year, and ideally before Christmas, because we've never gone 2 years without releasing an album. But, due to COVID and being home with the kids for a year, we kept them out of school for a year and did Zoom schooling. And, it was pretty much just survival mode and not a lot of time for creative thinking. No inspiration whatsoever. We have had a lot of trouble writing. We've gotten back into it more so. The kids went back to school after last spring break. So we're kind of getting back into normalcy a little bit. Still not a whole lot of outside inspiration happening, but we hadn't written enough to record a full album. And so we're like, maybe it's time to do the B-sides thing and put out all of the stuff that we've recorded. A lot of those covers were for fans or for patrons. We have a Patreon, and we'll just record things for them for fun sometimes. And we asked Wicked Cool if we could use a couple of these B-sides. And they're like, yeah, of course you can use them, but want to put it out with us? We're like, yeah, but can you have it out by Christmas? And they're like, we'll get back to you. And then they're like, if we can have all the materials by Monday and a day. And it was Thursday.
Yeah.
And this was just an idea.
Yeah.
So that ended up being 4 of the craziest days of our lives. We went through all the hard drives. We picked a sequence. Luis did a couple really quick remixes on things and sent it off to master. This artist, Stefan, he has a company called SBAM. He's in Austria. He's an awesome artist, works on a lot of our releases with us. We sent him a message. We were like, we know this is a tall order, but is there any way you can get us artwork and layout for this double album? He's like, give me till tomorrow. And he totally did it.
Wow. Working 20 hours.
Really fast. It was done. We didn't have time to overthink it. It just happened. And now here we are. So I'm glad it happened like that. Otherwise,
there it is.
Yeah, we would have toiled over what songs to include. Yeah. We would have toiled over remixing, but we had no time. So they saved you time.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot.
So the disc 2 is cover songs, all cover songs.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I got mine yesterday.
What? Hey, for our listeners, Jim, why don't you read off some of the cover songs there to pick their interest? So
we got here, I read it off of the
read it right off there.
We got Breed, Stay, Ruby Soho, High School Never Ends. That's a Bowling for Soup song. Walking on Sunshine, Katrina and the Waves. Yeah. I like, because you have a single, Do Run Run, I Want to Be Sedated, and this one is Do Run Run, The Sponge.
The Sponge.
Who is the Sponge?
The Sponge.
What band?
So, in the cartoon SpongeBob, I think it might have been in one of the movies. We were recording I Want to Be Sedated to Do Run Run for an album. And our producer, John Fields, we're like, this is the same song. We're just going to smash them together and, kind of show that. And he's like, you know what else is the same song? Goes to YouTube, pulls up The Sponge. And it's actually Black Dahlia from the Dwarves singing it. And it's just Do the Sponge. And it's the same song as Do Run Run and I Want to Be Sedated. And he was like, man. Yeah, he's like, it'd be funny if we just put that in the middle. So we did. We didn't put it on an album until now, but it's been waiting for the perfect moment.
Also on that one is I believe, Dancing with Myself by Billy Idol and Earth Angel. I was just singing that to my wife yesterday, believe it or not. The Starliners,
and the Dirty Dancing song.
Oh, okay. We're coming back to Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, Do You Love Me?
Yes.
By the Contours.
Contours.
Yeah.
That is a great song. It really is.
I love that song. It's kind of boring to cover, though, because it's the same thing over and over and over again.
Right. Yeah, it's not a lot of
when
variety.
They do, you don't notice. I was like, oh my God, how can I change this up a little bit? It's actually harder than you would think.
Do you use the same band when you record and tour?
So right now I'm in my radio studio. I do a radio show on XM every day. And so I got my,
Okay.
so we've got this Studio B, but we actually have a studio in a mother-in-law behind house where we record everything. Luis tracks it all here. And so we do the main instrument stuff here: guitar, bass, vocals, backing vocals, all of that. And then typically we send it to our producer, John Fields, and either we find a drummer that drums on it at the end. We started this process, 1, 2, 3, our 4th album is when we started doing it this way. We have a drummer drum on it at the end. And then John, he adds all of the, keyboard parts and sauce, all that special sauce that goes on that a producer does. And when we can do it together, we send him the tracks, he sets them all up, and then he's in Minneapolis now. We met him in LA. He's since moved back to Minneapolis. We'll go to Minneapolis and meet him for the drum tracks and any extra stuff. We usually do together if possible. But, when we do one-off or, a thing that just doesn't make sense to fly there for, we'll just kind of do it in the 2 different studios, and he glues it all together magically somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do a lot of it here.
Bringing the drums in last, I don't think that's typical of a lot of bands. Yeah, that's playing with a click track, getting a drummer to do it correctly. There's a lot of different possibilities there. I'm glad that works out. Yeah.
I mean, since our 2nd album, and really since the start of the band, one of the only sources of tension and arguments was always the BPM, because Luis, he actually started on piano, and he has such a great internal tempo that drives him insane if we're speeding up or slowing down, or something's too fast or too slow. I swear it was just a constant source of stress. And so even starting with our 2nd drummer ever, which we've had about 100 now, we used to play with this thing called a beat bug, which is this little thing that got placed on the snare drum that would show the drummer what BPM he was playing at without interfering with anything.
Yeah, it was a light instead of audio. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would just flash the number. And so on the set list, it had, yeah. And on the set list, it had like the ideal BPM per song. And so he would just try and stay with that. We used that for a couple years. And then by the time we got to our 3rd album, we wanted to try and use Click Track live, because it's so much easier to perform for us to a click track night after night when everything is consistent. Just feels better, feels easier. If we also did a tour where our drummer couldn't go to Canada, so we had to do a tour with 2 drummers. And, at least knowing that the BPM was going to be right, and we could just play. And the
rest is details. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been very used to playing to a click track, and it's essential with any drummer. We can't play to a click, then we can't play together. Like, it's just not going to happen. So in the studio, it's no different, and any professional drummer plays to a click.
And
play to a click.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, Jim. Dax Nilsson from Cheap Trick, he was saying, because they have so many songs. Like, how many is in their repertoire?
Like 200.
200, yeah. It's like, so
they've got 20 albums out.
So, it's like, bam, get it right. Not just the intro, but.
And they don't do the same set list.
Yeah.
Some bands don't, they're not like Kiss that every night. It's the
same set list. Yeah. So he did the same. He's got the beats per minute right there, telling him what to do. Yeah, because it's you have 1 second figured out. Don't get it wrong, drummer.
The thing is, a lot of people argue that by doing that, it limits the band and be, I don't know, more live feeling. But for us, it actually makes it easier for us to change things up or vamp something and make it longer. Because we're not thinking about that. And that's a huge part of playing music and sounding cohesive. If we don't have to think about how fast or slow we're playing, then it frees up that part of your mind to do something more fun.
Right. And what's typical is when you're playing live, and this, and most people do, is your adrenaline kicks it up. So you go faster when you're more excited, just like people speak really
Yep.
fast when they're excited and people don't understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I've noticed that
Sometimes.
it's like if you can, just think slowly, just like public speaking, slow down.
Yeah.
When you're playing, I know you're excited, you're pumped, but slow down, and then usually get it right. Yeah. Well,
But
that's so.
sometimes
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
just get bored. Sometimes I'm
Really?
bored. And I'm like, man, this feels so slow today. But I know that the BPM's correct.
Yeah.
But if I didn't know that the BPM was correct, I would be making everybody go faster. There's
Yeah.
also the drunk aspect. If somebody's had too
Yeah.
many beers,
Yeah.
then they're playing everything way slower
Yeah.
or way faster, probably.
Or
But
whatever.
it takes that out too.
Well, that's a whole nother aspect. So I was doing the adrenaline thing, but you're talking about the boredom thing. Like, this is so slow. That's interesting.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll be like, oh God, I've played this song 50,000 times on tour.
Let's do something different.
I'm like, I want it to be faster today.
Yeah.
You mentioned your tour. Let's see.
Yeah.
So in April, let's see. Hold on a minute. In March 10th, you're starting in Chicago. Tell our
Yep.
listeners you've got 10 shows in the U.S.
Very cool.
And then in April 12th, you start your tour in the UK. I think it's
Yep.
like maybe 4 or
Going
5
for Soup
shows
and Lit.
With
It's-
Lit.
with Lit
Mhm.
and
I think it's
both.
14 or 15 nights in a row.
Oh, okay.
So that's going to be an adventure and a half.
Now, COVID's going in waves and has gone in waves, kind of 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And so we're really hoping that we are in the middle of it and that it's going to die
Or
down.
towards the end of it.
Well, yeah, I guess towards the middle to end, 2/3, give it. We're really hoping that is going to go down as we get to March and April, and then May being excellent. If we're looking at the,
Mhm.
just looking at the science,
Fingers
looking at the
crossed.
way it's going up and down. So
Mhm.
I really hope that
Yeah.
works
I mean,
out.
the UK was ahead of us with Omicron.
Right.
And so if they're in the clear right now, I am concerned for April.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a 3 or 4 month cycle, variants, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We're just along for the ride. So the choice is not ours on that tour.
That's right.
The March tour, we're headlining that. And so we have our friends, the Von Tramps, coming with us. They're a great
Okay.
band out of Minnesota. But yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, we're recovering from COVID.
Yeah.
I was very, very sick for a couple weeks. I'm slowly getting better. I did right before this so that I could hopefully talk. But had I not been vaccinated and boosted, I would have been one of those people in the hospital, I think.
Yeah.
Our kids were fine. And Luis it's like he just got it 3 days ago. He thought that he had it and was already recovered. And he's like, it's not going to get me. It's not going to get me. And he's in rough shape now. But silver lining is we won't have to worry about us, passing it on for the March tour. Our drummer also just recovered from it. And so, hopefully March can go on as long as it seems like a responsible, okay thing to do.
You think you'll come up to maybe after the UK, come up to like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or you've played those states?
I think we'll probably head over there in the summer if it's looking like it's going to happen. That's actually the last place we played. We did Cambridge, Manhattan, and Philly.
Okay.
In the summer, or I guess in October. It was October, I think we played. We decided to do those because it was, vax mandatory or test mandatory. And it all seemed like it was relatively safe. So we just flew in for those 3 shows.
Oh, okay.
We canceled the other dates around it though. We had a lot more booked. But
there's a great
I don't want to be
theater.
responsible for anyone.
There's a great theater in Sellersville, Pennsylvania,
North of Philly.
near Quakertown.
Yeah, it gets lots of
Seats like 300. Not a big place, but
lots of good people coming through, and so it's pretty cool.
yeah.
There's Roger
Hey,
Dodger.
Hold on.
Roger
Somebody.
Dodger loves mommy.
Okay.
Sometimes the kids make noises that sound like someone's at the door, and he is definitely a guard dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's tend to Roger.
And he's off.
So you mentioned your show on Sirius. You're on the channel Little Steven's Underground Garage.
Yeah.
And what's the name of your show?
It's just the Kelly Ogden show.
Oh, okay.
I came up with the Sunrise Surprise show at first because I had no idea what I was doing or what was going to come out of my mouth. So
Okay.
that was initially, that's what it's called, but it's 4 to 8 a.m. every morning, every week.
Oh, okay. 4 in the morning?
Yeah, 4 to
Really?
8. And on delay after that in the app and online.
Yeah. Well, 4 to 8. You've got some
And
people that wake up at 6.
Is it just talk, or do you play music, or you have guests on?
It's music. I'm the only DJ, and there it's playlist, underground garage playlist. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all my programming. There's a music programmer and director, and I'm literally the disc jockey. I'm just, but I don't know if you've ever listened to that station. But Stevie's very into musical education and how music and music history can be educational. And he actually has this thing called Teach Rock. It's a musical foundation where they have an entire curriculum that they send out to teachers that help teach history through music. It's really cool. Wow. But plus DJs, part of what we have or what we do is every single song, we give at least 2 or 3 items of information about the song. So I never just say like, hey, here's Just Like All the Rest by the Dollyrots, or I played Just Like All the Rest by the Dollyrots. I talk about all 4 or 5 songs in each set that I play. And it's about a minute a break, 16 breaks a day. Yeah. And so there's a lot of research that goes into it. There's a lot of storytelling. Yeah. I tell stories from touring in my personal life, a lot of stories from rock and roll books and history. I have a friend, his name's Tom Calhoun, but he does a lot of that research for me and helps me out. Otherwise, it'd be pretty impossible for me.
Yeah, I used to have Sirius and all that.
Yeah, I had Sirius Radio. I don't have it currently, but... So again, Kelly, your radio show, for our listeners, they can find it. Is it Sunrise Surprise?
Yes, it's Sirius XM 21, and that's 21. Every weekday, 4 to 8 a.m. Yeah.
All right.
I'm also on another station he started. It's called Little Steven's Coolest Songs in the World. It's channel 721. And every year or every week for the past 20 years, he has picked a coolest song in the world. And so there are over 1,000 of them. And so we have a new station, and I'm the only DJ over there. I just, it's mostly music on that channel. But I do in-betweens and I'll announce things. He has a lot of the DJs pick songs that change every week. So I introduce those.
Okay.
That's very cool.
Yeah. There's a band called the Gripweeds that I'm friends with.
Oh yeah. I play them
New
every
Jersey.
day.
New York. Yeah, we know Kurt and Rick.
Kurt Ryle.
Yeah, I've hung out with them and stuff, but
they were great for an interview.
And then the Weaklings, which is Glenn Burtnick.
Oh yeah,
I've met him a couple times and sort of Facebook friends. So I see that coolest song, in the I see them because they're on that list a lot of times.
Yeah, Kurt Ryle's been a part of them. He's had a lot this past year or so.
Yeah. Yeah, they just came out with a new cover album.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's called Dig.
Yeah. So one more thing. I wanted to ask you about Joan Jett. In 2006, you were signed to Blackheart Records. Now, is it true she saw you guys at a festival, or how was she turned on to the Dollyrots? Because was it her approaching you guys, I would assume?
Not exactly. So we touched on it earlier, but our second album, Because I'm Awesome, we had already started recording, and we had planned to release it on Panic Button, which was part of Lookout. Then Green Day had the falling out with Lookout, and so we needed a label because our label was gone. And we were on Warped Tour that summer. At the same time, Joan Jett was one of the headliners that year. It was NoFX and Joan Jett, and Against Me is also one of my favorite bands. But the second to last day, we were in Salt Lake City. I decided I was going to give the demo to Fat Mike to see if we could get it on Fat Records. I gave it to who is now Laura Jane Grace, hoping that it could be passed on or something maybe. And then at the end of Joan's set that day, I was standing side stage watching, like I did almost every day of that Warped Tour. And, she was walking off, and like before my brain could be like, stop, my feet were walking toward her, and I was right in front of her. And I was like, oh my God. And then my mouth started moving, and I wasn't thinking. Yeah. And I was like, hey, this is our demo. We're looking for a label to put out our new album. Lookout isn't anymore. And she's like, "Oh, I love your band. I've been watching you all summer,
wow.
and I'll give it a listen." And I was like, "Oh my God, okay, awesome."
It's what you needed to hear.
She walks away. Yeah, she walks away, and in my head, I'm like, "They're not going to listen. It's going to be in this stack of CDs in the bus and get thrown away in the morning." And then I guess it was like 2 weeks later, Blackheart Records called, and they're like, "Hey, we'd love to put this out. Let's figure out how to do it." And that was it. I literally handed her a CD.
Did you have 1 album, 2 albums out on there?
We did 2 albums with them. It was Because I'm Awesome and A Little Messed Up. And after the second one, it was right around the time that people started using Kickstarter and doing crowdfunding. And, we had a lot of luck with music licensing and film and TV. But of course, when you're on a record label and you have a publishing deal, you don't get that money. There's always some way that you don't get any of that money. And we needed to make a living. Luis and I really wanted to have a family someday. And so we're like, it might be smart for us to at least own our masters and see, we've got a lot of fans. Maybe they'll want to do this with us that way. And so for our 4th album, we did a Kickstarter and we hit a goal within a number of hours. And that was that. Wow. And now that is the way that we do all of our albums. We've used different platforms, Kickstarter. I can't even remember what the other ones are called. Pledge Music. And now we just use Shopify, and we do it more as a pre-order. And so the fans pre-order the album with lots of weird, funny things. Like I'll do a phone call, for somebody that you care about, or I'll give you a phone call pep talk, or, you can ask me any questions you're curious about. I'll bake cookies, a lot of it's just album packages, CDs, t-shirts, posters, that kind of stuff. But by doing it this way, we have control of our music, and our fans get to watch us, make the album, which I think is the best part, really. That we tell them, look, we're about to start an album. Do you want to do it with us? And we show them the whole thing from writing it to, figuring out what it's going to look like, everything. So it actually makes it more fun to make the albums because we've got them along for the ride.
Yeah, you're controlling a lot of it more so than someone else. Yeah.
And the participation with the fans, and they can participate, and they also know what's coming up, and they're right there with you. That's awesome.
I think Mike has a joke.
Oh yeah, so
good.
I heard this joke the other day, and then I thought of you in an interview coming up because of your rabbit stories. So a priest, a minister, and a rabbit walk into a bar. They go up to the bar, and the bartender says, "Hey, I can serve you, but first, I need to know your blood type." And so then the rabbit goes, "Oh, I think I'm a type O." Again, it's a priest, a minister, and a rabbit.
Which usually it's a rabbi. Excellent.
Yeah.
I might steal that for my radio show on Friday. I tell terrible jokes.
Yeah.
And I have these 2 books, which are really
There are sound effects.
Oh, what do you got there? What do you got there, Kelly?
They're horrible books that a fan gave me on tour. And sometimes I'll just read from them randomly.
Yeah.
And
surprise.
They're so bad.
So anyway,
I'm a terrible joke.
The punchline is, "Oh, I think I'm a type O."
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah,
okay.
I like it.
So our listeners can go to your website, Dollyrots.com. You've got a lot of cool stuff on there, like this.
Oh, there it is.
Cookie tin.
Oh, the cookie tin. Yeah.
There's no cookies in it anymore.
No.
But I have to tell you,
Let me see that.
I have to tell you, your cookies tasted like the ones my mom made.
Oh, just like Mama used to make.
Don't tell anyone the secret.
My mom would make chocolate chip cookies. Do you know? Do you ever hear of Charlie Chip? Charlie Chip. So they would come in the big tin can, the chips. Well, my mom would save those tins and fill it with chocolate chip cookies.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of cookies.
when I was young, a lot younger, when I was a kid.
This is a
I would eat most of them.
I know you would. Your fans would love this. This is it's a tin. It's about 5 inches by 4 inches, and it's got the theme. It's got the Alice in Wonderland theme going there. I don't. There's teacups and mushrooms down the rabbit hole,
and that's the album cover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it is.
Good.
It is the album cover.
It's the White Rabbit.
Yes, it is the White Rabbit, and he's looking cool.
And the other item, which I don't unfortunately have here, but it's soap.
Soap.
And
oh yeah,
it's a reference to your song "I'm Awesome."
Yes,
it's naturally deodorized. I love that line. I'm naturally.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah.
So that comes from our parent life, because our 8-year-old, one of his best friends, her parents have a soap company. They go to all the farmers and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, for Christmas, we should do a collaboration. And they're like, we would love that. And so, yeah, we ordered a whole bunch from them, and it was really cool. It smells.
And what's the name
good.
Great. What's the name of those soaps?
Naturally
Chopping
deodorized.
Block. Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Chopping Block. Yeah. Okay. If you look up Chopping Block, they've got an Etsy store. They ship everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all natural, made in their kitchen.
I was going to ask what the soap smelled like.
Yeah.
I guess
it's geranium, rose, lemon, and a touch of patchouli, because I'm a little bit of a hippie.
Okay.
Just a little.
And then, of course, they can get your new album on the website, autographed or not autographed.
Mm-hmm.
It's only $5 extra for autograph.
Yeah.
That's like nothing.
And I saw you have personalized song on there, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
That's
a new thing.
Well, because I'm awesome's happy birthdays. We're on Cameo too, so it's kind of like
there you go.
Kind of like Cameo, but you get a whole song of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll put someone's song in Because I'm Awesome. I don't even know what kind of witchcraft Luis uses to do it, but it sounds perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
That takes it.
We've been doing that for a
level
long
there.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was good talking to you, Kelly.
Yeah, great talking to you.
Thanks,
sorry we couldn't talk to Luis, but give him our best.
I know.
Tell him that we missed him and we wish him well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully he's on the mend soon. All right. Night, guys.
Well, it's nice talking to you.
Time for football.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Today's interview was recorded on Zoom and at Did You Say
7
Studios in Washington, New Jersey. Go to the YouTube channel for exclusive video content. Exit music by the band 99%. Today's show was produced and edited by Jim Thatcher. You can find Jim and Mike talk music on Apple Music, Spotify, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
The songs Just Like All the Rest, Mermaid, I Know How to Party, and Jackie Chan, used with permission from Kelly Ogden.